All right, get ready to dive deep into the world of innovative authentication.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
You bet. I mean, you
Yeah.
sent over a bunch of really fascinating sources about the U.S. General Services Administration, the GSA,
Right.
and how they're exploring all these seriously cool ways to move beyond, well, the whole username and password thing, right?
Yeah, like totally. It's like, we're right on the edge of a huge shift in how we actually, confirm who we are online.
Huge is
Instead of like clinging to these things that can easily be stolen or forgotten.
like password.
Exactly. Passwords, we could be like using totally unique personal traits, stuff like biometrics to like actually prove our identity.
So, like, instead of a password, I could just use my fingerprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine like using your fingerprint to log into your work computer.
Okay, that I can
Or
say.
even like think about this walking through airport security just by, just showing your face.
Okay, now that one is little, I don't know about that one.
I know it sounds crazy, right?
But okay, I gotta admit, the whole ditching passwords completely thing, that does sound pretty appealing.
Right.
But, the sources you sent, they mentioned something even more uh, complex, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Like this whole zero trust architecture thing. What exactly is that?
Mm.
And how does it, like, fit into all of this?
Okay, so think of it this way. Zero trust basically assumes that no one,
No one.
like literally no one, automatically gets a free pass when it comes to, accessing data or systems.
Really, nobody.
Nope. Every single request, it has to be verified, like every time.
Wow.
Whether it's coming from inside an organization or outside, doesn't matter.
Interesting.
So it's all about layers, layers of security
Layers.
and innovative authentication. Well, that plays a huge role in building that trust.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I think.
Right.
But it also sounds like a lot of, hoops to jump through every single time you want to access something.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that going to create a ton of, like, friction for everyday users? You know what I mean?
Oh, totally, totally. That's the challenge, right? Like
No.
finding that sweet spot between, hardcore security and, making it actually convenient to use.
Right, right.
But the GSA, it seems like they're taking like user experience pretty seriously.
Okay, well, that's good.
They're already using single sign-on, SSO for their employees.
Right,
So you just log in once
Yeah.
and you can access a bunch of different work applications.
right, right.
But they want to, kind of take it a step further, I guess, make it even more secure and more user-friendly.
So even better than SSO.
Exactly.
And that's where this WebAuthn thing comes in, right?
Yes.
I mean, you mentioned it before, but honestly, it sounds kind of intimidating,
Oh, yeah, I get that. It sounds complicated.
It does.
But it's actually like designed to simplify things, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So instead of like, painstakingly typing in a password,
Right.
you'd use something else, like your device's fingerprint scanner
Oh, okay.
or like a little USB security key.
One of those little fobs.
Yeah, exactly. One of those.
Got it. But how does that actually work?
It relies on something called public key cryptography, which basically means,
Oh, here we go with the technical stuff.
well, kind of, but think of it like this. It's like having two keys,
Okay.
one that's public, anyone can see it,
Huh.
and one that's private, super secret.
Only you have it.
Right,
Yeah.
only you. And that private key, it's used to create like a unique digital signature that basically confirms it's really you.
So it's like a super secure digital fingerprint.
Exactly. And the coolest part is like all your biometric data, like your fingerprint, it stays on your own device. It's not sent off to some like, central database.
Oh, so that's good. That makes it more secure.
Way more secure. It's harder for hackers to get to. The GSA calls this platform authentication.
Platform authentication. Got it. But wait, you also mentioned roaming authentication?
Oh, right. Yes.
What's the difference? They both sound kind of the same to me.
Okay, so for roaming, think of those little USB security keys we talked about before.
Yeah.
That's roaming authentication. It's portable, so you can use it on any device you want.
So instead of relying on like something built into my phone,
Right.
I can just carry my authentication with me.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting this right, the GSA is like they're trying to make logging in as secure and effortless as possible
It seems that way.
for both their own employees and for, the public using their services.
Yeah, that seems to be the goal. And they're not just thinking about individual users either.
Yeah.
They're also thinking about how different systems can all work together seamlessly.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Hold on. Let's rewind for a second.
Yeah.
We've talked about SSO, WebAuthn, platform authentication. roaming authentication. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is a lot, I know.
Can we just like take a step back
Yeah.
and explain what this means for, for the average person? I mean, most people listening to this probably aren't cybersecurity experts.
Sure, sure. Let's simplify it. Imagine, like, a world where you just never have to remember a password again.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You just unlock your computer with your fingerprint,
Mm-hmm.
walk through airport security, just by showing your face,
Okay, I'm still not sure about that one.
and log into your bank account, with just this tiny little security key that's on your keychain. That's the kind of future the GSA is, like, envisioning.
Okay, that is a future I can get behind.
Yeah.
But how realistic is this, really? Is anyone, like, actually using these innovative authentication methods right now? Or is it all just, pie in the sky thinking?
So it's not just pie in the sky thinking at all. Innovative authentication is already happening, in little pockets all over the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for example, like some universities have started using these things called PIN grids.
PIN grids.
Yeah, it's like instead of typing a password, you like create a unique pattern on a grid of numbers.
Mm,
And
okay.
apparently it's way easier to remember than a password, and it's more secure.
Really? A pattern on a grid? That's interesting. I just wonder if it'd be hard to remember the pattern after a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know if they've run into any problems with, like, people actually using it?
Oh, right, user adoption.
Yeah.
Well, that's always a challenge, isn't it?
It is.
When you're implementing any new technology, getting people on board,
Right.
and making sure the systems are, actually user-friendly.
Yeah.
That's key. Speaking of user-friendly, have you noticed how some banks have started using biometrics for authentication?
Oh, yeah. My bank lets me log in with my fingerprint now.
See?
It's so much easier than typing in my password on that little tiny keyboard.
Right. So much easier.
Yeah.
And it's not just fingerprints either.
No.
Some banks are using voice recognition
Wow.
and even, get this, facial recognition.
Facial recognition. Isn't that a little, I don't know, controversial? I've read some stuff about privacy concerns with that.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid concern.
And potential bias in those algorithms too, right?
Right. Anytime you're dealing with, like, personal data,
Yeah.
especially biometric data, you have to be super careful about privacy and security. It's a
Totally.
balancing act, weighing the benefits against the risks.
So it's not just about picking the coolest, most futuristic tech then.
Right.
There's a lot more to consider.
Yeah.
Like user experience, security, privacy, all that stuff.
You got it. And it's not even just about the technology itself either.
Uh-huh.
You got to think about the whole ecosystem,
Ecosystem.
Yeah, the devices, the software, the policies, and of course, the people.
The people, right? The users.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of people, the sources you sent over, they mentioned that the GSA is running into some challenges.
Oh, yeah. What kind of challenges?
Well, getting their own employees to actually use these new authentication methods.
Really? So even inside the GSA, people are resisting?
It happens. It's a big change. What are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Well, one of the biggest is just, managing the complexity of it all.
I can imagine.
The GSA, they have a huge workforce, right?
Enormous. Yeah.
And they're using all sorts of different devices and applications.
I bet.
So trying to roll out new authentication systems across that whole organization,
Right.
it's a massive undertaking.
I bet it is. It's not like they can just flip a switch and everything changes overnight, right?
Exactly. It's a process.
Yeah.
A gradual process.
I see.
It takes careful planning, communication, training, all that good stuff.
Right.
And then you also have to factor in the human element, right?
Romy,
Well, some people just resist change,
I know the type.
especially when it involves something as personal as, their digital identity.
Makes sense. It's like anything new, right? Some people jump right in.
Yeah.
Others are more, I don't know, hesitant. Or even skeptical, right?
Exactly. And I imagine there are some concerns about, like, what if something goes wrong?
Oh, for sure.
Like, what if you lose your phone or forget your PIN?
Totally valid concerns. And that's exactly why having, like, really robust fail-safe mechanisms in place is so important.
Fail-safes.
The GSA, they have to make sure that users can still access their accounts and stuff, even if they have a problem with their, their main authentication method.
Right.
They need clear protocols, backup options, all of that.
So it's not enough to just, like, build these innovative systems.
No.
You got to make sure they're resilient
Exactly.
and user-friendly, even in those, what-if scenarios.
Exactly. You got it. And that resilience, that has to extend to the systems themselves, too.
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking about cybersecurity here, right?
High stakes.
High stakes, exactly. So what do you think are some of the biggest cybersecurity risks the GSA is trying to, like, mitigate with all these innovations?
Well, I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind is data breaches.
Yeah.
We hear about them all the time.
All the time.
Companies, organizations getting hacked,
Yeah.
losing all this sensitive information.
It's a nightmare.
It feels like it's just a matter of time before it happens to you.
That's a very real threat, for sure.
It is.
And it's one of the biggest reasons why the GSA is pushing for stronger authentication. Because, traditional passwords, they're just too vulnerable.
Oh, yeah. In what way?
Well, they can be guessed, stolen, phished, all sorts of things.
Oh, right.
But these innovative methods...
Like biometrics.
Exactly. Biometrics and security keys, they make it way harder for hackers to, get unauthorized access.
I see. So it's not just about convenience for the users.
No.
It's about making things more secure, period.
Right.
Making it much harder for the bad guys to break in.
Exactly. It's like building a big, thick wall around your data,
A wall with, barbed wire and guard dogs and everything.
Right, exactly. So hopefully the hackers will just move on to easier targets.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
But are these new methods really that much more secure?
Mm.
I mean, I know nothing is completely foolproof, right?
True. No system is perfect.
Right.
But innovative authentication, it does significantly reduce the risk of compromise.
Okay, that's good.
Like, for example, with WebAuthn, that private key we talked about?
Yeah.
The one that's used for authentication.
Oh, yeah.
It never actually leaves your device.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so even if a website you're logging into is, compromised, your private key is still safe.
Wow, that is pretty impressive. It sounds like they've really, really thought this through. But what about the bigger picture? How does the GSA's work on innovative authentication fit into, the larger conversation about cybersecurity in the U.S.,
It's a critical piece of the puzzle, for sure.
It is.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. government has been laser-focused on cybersecurity in recent years.
Right.
And innovative authentication is seen as a key enabler for a more secure digital infrastructure.
So the GSA is kind of leading the charge in a way.
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
Are they working alone on this, or are there other, government agencies and organizations involved?
Oh, it's definitely a team effort.
Okay, good.
The GSA is working with, the Department of Homeland Security, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST,
Right.
all working together to develop, standards, guidelines, and best practices for innovative authentication.
Okay. It's good to know they're not going it alone.
Yeah.
But even with all that collaboration, it seems like there's still, a lot of questions.
Definitely.
How can we be sure these new systems are really secure?
Yeah.
And what happens if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, what are the worst case scenarios?
Oh, totally valid concerns. Like we said before, no system is foolproof.
Right.
And innovative authentication is no exception. That's why it's so important to have really robust testing and validation processes in place to identify and fix any potential vulnerabilities.
Sure. Yeah.
And we need really clear protocols for incident response.
Incident response. If there's a breach.
Exactly. So if something does go wrong,
Right.
we can address it quickly and effectively.
Makes sense. So it's not enough to just build the technology.
Yep.
You also need all the safeguards, the processes
Right.
to make sure it's used, responsibly
For sure.
and securely.
Yes.
Got it. And what about the the legal implications?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Right. I mean, are there any laws that need to be, updated to keep pace with all these advancements?
That's a great question. The legal landscape around cybersecurity, it's always changing,
It moves fast.
It does. And as innovative authentication becomes more, more mainstream, I guess, we'll need to revisit those existing laws and maybe even create new ones to deal with all the, the unique challenges and opportunities that it brings up.
It's almost like we're entering this uncharted territory.
Yeah,
right?
really.
We're creating all this powerful technology, but we're still figuring out how to regulate it,
Right.
make sure it's used ethically,
Yes.
responsibly.
It's a big challenge.
It is. And that brings us to, I think, kind of a fundamental question here.
Ooh, what's that?
What does the future of authentication look like?
The million-dollar question, right?
I mean, is a completely passwordless world really possible? Or is that just, wishful thinking?
It's definitely possible. I mean, as technology keeps evolving, we might see a shift towards more, I don't know, more seamless, more intuitive authentication
Hmm.
that relies on like a combination of biometrics, behavioral analysis, and all sorts of other factors.
It's hard to even imagine what might be possible in the next few years. But I do wonder, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities that lie ahead?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is just staying ahead of the threat landscape.
Oh, right. The hackers.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is like an arms race, right?
I've heard that. Yeah.
As we build new defenses, the hackers are constantly looking for ways to break through them.
Makes sense.
So we have to be proactive. We have to invest in research and development.
Right.
Make sure our authentication methods are still strong and effective.
So it's all about constant innovation then.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technology itself. It's about fostering a culture of security awareness.
Security awareness.
Yeah, like people need to be educated about the risks, you know? They
Yeah.
need to understand their role in protecting their own identities and data.
Yeah, we all have a part to play in this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. But on a more positive note, what are some of the potential benefits that innovative authentication could bring?
Hmm. Good question. What are some of the good things that could come out of all this?
Well, I think, for one thing, it could dramatically reduce the risk of data breaches and identity theft.
Okay, that would be huge.
Right. Stronger authentication makes it so much harder for hackers to get access to sensitive information. And that could have a huge impact on everything from, financial security to national security.
Wow, it really could.
It could. And on a more personal level, wouldn't it be nice to finally get rid of all those passwords?
Oh, tell me about it. I have so many passwords. It's a nightmare.
I know,
I have a
right?
whole notebook full of them. I can't even keep track.
It's a mess. But with streamlined authentication, we could make our lives so much easier and more efficient.
Hmm, that's appealing.
And it could also open up all sorts of new possibilities for online interactions, online transactions, all that stuff.
Like what?
Imagine a world where you can securely access your medical records
Okay.
or vote online
That's interesting.
or even like buy a house without ever having to worry about your identity being compromised.
Okay, that would be amazing.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But, how do we get there?
How do we make this happen?
What are the key steps?
Well, it's going to require a multifaceted approach, I think.
Multifaceted, okay.
We need continued investment in research and development to keep pushing the boundaries of authentication technology.
Right, right.
And we need strong partnerships between the government, industry, and academia to develop standards, guidelines, best practices, all that.
Collaboration is key.
Exactly. And we need to educate the public about the importance of cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity awareness.
Yeah. We need to empower people to take an active role in protecting themselves.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Empowerment. But let's circle back to the GSA for a second.
Okay.
We talked about their efforts to implement innovative authentication, both internally and externally.
Right.
What are some of the specific challenges they're facing in those two different domains?
Well, when it comes to like their own workforce, one of the biggest challenges is just, managing that transition to these new systems.
Yeah, I can see that.
The GSA has, like we said, a large and diverse workforce,
Huge workforce.
and making sure that everyone has the training and the support they need, to adapt to these new methods.
Right.
That's a big job.
It must be a logistical nightmare.
It really is, especially when you have to maintain security throughout that whole transition.
You can't let your guard down for a second.
Exactly. And when it comes to, expanding innovative authentication beyond the GSA, one of the biggest hurdles is interoperability.
Interoperability. What's that?
It just means like making sure their systems can work seamlessly with the systems of other agencies and organizations.
Okay, I get it.
And that requires a ton of coordination and collaboration.
So it's about building a really robust ecosystem where everyone's on the same page,
Precisely.
using the same systems, the same standards.
Yeah, and that includes the private sector too.
Oh, the private sector.
Yeah, the GSA, they're actually working to encourage private companies to adopt stronger authentication practices as well.
Oh, wow. So they're kind of like setting the example.
Exactly. After all, a lot of the services that citizens use every day are provided by private companies, right?
That's true.
So it's super important that those companies have the same level of security as, government systems.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good point. It's encouraging to see this kind of, proactive approach.
It is. It is.
But I can't help but wonder, what are some of the unintended consequences, the things we might not be thinking about?
Oh, yeah. It's always good to think about the downsides.
Are there any downsides to to moving away from passwords completely?
That's a really good question. And it's important to look at all sides of it, you know? Like
Definitely.
one potential concern is, what if these new authentication methods require people to have access to specific technologies
Right.
or devices?
Yeah.
What if people can't afford them or they lack the technical skills to use them?
That's a really good point. We don't want to create a situation where, certain people are excluded.
Exactly. Accessibility and inclusivity are key. We have to make sure that everyone can benefit from these advancements.
Right. Regardless of their income or their technical skills.
Exactly. Exactly. It has to be fair. And what about over-reliance on technology?
Oh, yeah, that's another good point. What happens if we put all our eggs in this high-tech basket and then something goes wrong?
Right. What if the systems fail or they get hacked?
Exactly. We can't just assume that technology will solve all our problems, right?
Get it. Technology is powerful, but it's not a magic wand.
Right.
We can't become complacent, or overly reliant on these systems.
Right.
Human factors like education, awareness, and good security practices, those are still super important.
So it's about finding the right balance, I guess.
I think so, yeah. Using technology to enhance our security,
Right.
but also recognizing its limitations
Mm-hmm.
and not forgetting about those core principles of, vigilance and awareness.
Yeah. It's a human challenge just as much as it is a technological one.
I think you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, the success of innovative authentication,
Right.
it depends on a shared commitment to security
Shared commitment.
and a willingness to work together to create a more secure digital world for everyone.
For everyone, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we need to move on to part 3. Now we're running out of time. It really does feel like, we're at a crossroads here.
Yeah.
We have this incredible opportunity, right, to totally reshape the digital landscape, but we got to do it carefully, thoughtfully, make sure we don't leave anyone behind
Right.
or create, a whole bunch of new problems in the process.
For sure. And that brings us back to, I think, one of the key things we've been talking about today, empowerment.
Empowerment, what do you mean?
Well, like right now, we often feel so powerless when it comes to our digital identities,
I get
We
it.
have to just trust these big companies, these organizations to
Yeah.
protect our data. And I mean, as we've all seen, that trust can be broken.
Happens all the time, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
But innovative authentication, it has the potential to change that.
Really?
Yeah. To shift that balance of power,
Okay.
give individuals more control over their own data, how it's used.
So you're talking about putting the individual back in control
Mm,
when it comes to their digital life.
exactly. It's about giving people the tools, the knowledge, the things they need
Right.
to make their own decisions about their online security, their privacy.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
It is. And it's not even just about protection,
It's not.
It's about opportunity, too.
Opportunity.
Think about the potential for, innovation and creativity. If individuals actually have more control over their digital identities.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. What kind of opportunities are we talking about? Give me some example.
Well, we could see whole new platforms and services that are
Mhm.
built around, this idea of user-centric identity.
What?
Imagine a world where you can control access to your data across all your apps, all your services. You choose exactly what you share and who you share it with.
That would be a total game changer.
It would be.
Like having your own personal data vault,
Yeah,
that only you have the key to.
exactly.
But how realistic is that? I mean, that sounds incredibly complex.
Oh, it's definitely a challenge, no doubt about that. But I don't think it's impossible.
Really?
We already have some of the pieces, the building blocks,
Like what?
like blockchain technology,
Right.
decentralized identity systems, things like that. It's about bringing those pieces together
Okay.
and creating a framework that's both, super secure and easy to use.
So we need a whole new way of thinking about digital identity then.
Yeah, I think so. One that puts the individual right at the center.
At the center, right. But how do we get everyone on board with this?
Well, that's where education comes in. We need to start teaching kids.
Kids.
Yeah, early on about digital citizenship,
Okay.
data privacy, and why it's so important to protect their online identities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Start them young.
Right. And, we can't forget about adults either.
Right.
We need to give them resources and support, too, because, well, the tech is changing so fast.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
It really is.
It's almost like we need a whole new curriculum for the digital
I
age.
like that, a digital curriculum.
One that, goes beyond just basic computer skills
Yeah,
and focuses on actually empowering people to use the internet safely,
yeah.
responsibly.
You got it. It's about giving people the knowledge and the skills they need, to be an informed, discerning, proactive
Yeah.
when it comes to their digital lives.
So we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from the nitty-gritty technical details of WebAuthn
Wait.
to the broader societal implications of this whole innovative authentication thing.
Mm-hmm.
As we wrap up here, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
That's a good question. I think the most important thing to remember is that the future of authentication, it's not set in stone.
It's not.
Nope. It's something we're all creating, right now, through the choices we make, the things we do, the conversations we have. It's
Interesting.
an invitation to rethink how we approach digital identity
Right.
and to build a digital world that's more secure, more equitable, more empowering for everyone.
That's a great message, I think. It's a good reminder that we all have a part to play in shaping this future. And for our listeners out there, if this deep dive has, piqued your interest, be sure to check out those resources you sent over. Tons of great info there. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next breakthrough in innovative authentication. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.